Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Happy Thursday, the day after the Fed. Yesterday, the Fed had a really strong upside reaction in the market, right? Bears have been slaughtered realistically. And we're going to talk about what happened with the Fed. We're also going to talk about some of the earnings because Meta did fairly well, right? Up 30 bucks after hours, or pre-market, we should say as well. And we had a really strong rally in the S&P, about 100 points plus 100 points from the quote unquote path to a soft landing. So let's talk about some of these things here. The Federal Reserve yesterday, right, they hiked 25 basis points. This was expected. It was like a 99% chance that this would happen, to 4.5 to the range is 4.5 to 4.75%, right? 475. And this is the new rate as of yesterday, slowing the rapid tightening campaign that had dented stocks and other assets in 2022. So Jerome Powell said we've now raised rates 4.5 percentage points, and we're talking about a couple of more rate hikes to get to that level that we think is appropriate. For restrictive policy. So he also said, why do we think that's probably necessary? We think inflation is still running very hot. And while the central bank reiterated that it would be data dependent, investors are already seeing the light at the end of the tunnel with a strong rally in the overall equity market. So they took more of a hawkish stance here, but there was hints that the hiking cycle is coming to an end this year. We'll see probably pricing in right now 50 basis points for the rest of the year, which is, we have how many meetings? Let's just check this out here quickly, but that's not a lot to be priced in, right? We're going to have to see how this inflation data continues throughout the following month, but realistically, we've probably seen tops in inflation as we're curling over on multiple months averages. So as this loads, the rate hike cycle is not done just yet, and the Fed will still be pulling liquidity out of the markets. Investors would be wise to remain vigilant. So this is, some kind of analysts have been sparking those kind of concerns naturally, but we have March, we have May, June, July, September, November, and December. So 7 more Fed meetings that they could potentially hike this year. And we have for March 22nd, there is 83% chance of a 25 basis point hike with a 17% chance of no hike at all. So we'll see how that calibrates, right? Once we start to see no hike cycles, that's probably when we start turning the gears and we could start talking about a softer landing. But naturally, we do have a few other things to keep in mind, right? With earnings coming out, Meta did really well, but tonight we have Apple, Amazon, Google that can spark the next move in this market. Realistically, until the Fed starts really turning this thing around and stops the restrictive cycle, we're probably not going to be in a quote-unquote new bull market, right? Which a lot of people do think that we are. It's been a really strong rally so far, and the bulls are enjoying it. There could be a little more, right? There's a little more to the upside based on where there is volume in this market. So right now we actually passed the 4160. That was a huge threshold. It was the top of the distribution that we cleared very easily yesterday. And tomorrow we also have NFP that comes out. So a lot of news coming into the end of the week to see how this kind of calibrates for the next leg. Now, Meta earnings, right? Metaverse, social media giant Meta, right, soared more than 20% in the after hours. It's up over 100% since those lows that we had recently seen, close to the $90 mark. And investors renewed their confidence in CEO Mark Zuckerberg. Helping the situation was a big revenue beat as well as a massive $40 billion share buyback. That was realistically one of the main aspects to this massive rally, right? Meta also released its forecast for Q1 revenue that would reach as high as $28.5 billion, which was top sales seen during Q1 for 2021. And that was right before Apple's privacy measures heavily dented its ad revenue. So the social media company continues to heal by reining its wild expense growth, adding that the tech giants trade closer to about 15x updated 2023 earnings per share targets, with eventual upside from reductions in Reality Labs spending. So shares are not as cheap as they were in 2022, following a 75% price increase from that 52-week low, even more actually, after this earnings beat. Let me just check before I lie to you. What is this? So the lows were about 90 bucks, right? Let's see, a little lower than 90. It's up now after this earnings beat 107%, right, coming into that 185 region. So that's going to be very interesting for us to see how that shapes up today, along with the rest of the market. But on the conference call with analyst, Zuckerberg called 2023 the year of efficiency, with the company focused on becoming a stronger and more nimble organization. So Meta has already laid off substantial majority of approximately 11,000 employees, and it said it would let this go past November as the firm continues to right size itself. So the social media network also ended the period with 2 billion daily active users, which was better than estimates, and has made progress on its artificial intelligence discovery engine and strong engagement from Reels. So Reels on Instagram. We'll see how the other earnings kind of shape up coming into the end of today. And also there is some news in terms of debt developments. Remember, debt ceiling reached, and there is some additional optimism that was seen over in Washington, as House Speaker Kevin McCarthy said that he had a very good discussion with President Biden about the government spending and the debt ceiling. He also said, "I would feel better if I was the markets based upon the meeting I had today." So he also mentioned we have different perspectives, but we both laid out some of our vision of where we'd want to go. And I believe after laying them both out, I can see where we can find common ground. So extraordinary measures are already being employed by the Treasury, with Secretary Yellen warning of big consequences for the U.S. economy if the debt limit is not resolved, which prompted talks about the $1 trillion coin solution. So President Biden is also weighing new candidates for his top economic team, with reports suggesting that Vice Chair Lael Brainerd and longtime confidant Jared Bernstein could also lead the National Economic Council and Council of Economic Advisors. So that's just some news. Based on that, we should talk about what is going on with this market, because we had a very, very strong, interesting rally that had sparked from yesterday, right? Just entering new distribution blocks. We held out the 40-50 region, just sparked above there. Realistically, I was looking for the acceptance of 4105. 4105 accepted really well. The pullback brought us down to about 06, so that was a chance. After we rallied, right, we sparked up. We accepted into the 15s or so, which is a 10-point move, enough to accept into a distribution block. And then we pulled back into 06, which gave traders an opportunity to look for the longs and look for the top of that distribution block, which is 4160. We're now trading, where are we trading? We're trading above the distribution block, sitting at about 75, 41.75. Very, very strong rally on this. And as long as we can hold 41.60 realistically, that 41.60 was pretty much a last chance for these bears to defend this level. Obviously, they can come in much higher, but as it stands right now, if there's no acceptance back below 41.60, it's going to be very, very difficult to be a bear today. We've accepted above the region, and now we're sitting at that 75. Levels above include 78, 88, 92, and 42.05, which can be reached on another bull run into earnings and the NFP tomorrow. So we'll see how those levels hang out. I'm going to be very interested in what happens at that 4160 region and see if any pullbacks come into that level and how those bulls manage to hold this, so we can stay in a quote-unquote imbalanced territory where the markets would try to accept distributions to the upside. So that's what I'm looking at today. I hope everyone is ready for Thursday, ready for this price action. Hope everyone has a great trading day. We'll see you guys tomorrow, and we'll talk about what had happened with Apple, Amazon, and Google earnings tomorrow as they come out. And we'll talk about the NFP as they come out after the bell today. So thank you all. I'll see you soon, and happy trading.